I think sometimes we rebel so much against something that the path we turn down becomes detrimental to us. Now, I am not a fan of the hustle and grind, but at some point you have to look at the results you're getting and wonder if you could be doing more. There's a balance that needs to be struck between working nonstop in this like hustle, grind, culture idea and the thought that you should just rest all the time. I think sometimes we rebel so much against something that the path we turn down becomes detrimental to us. Now, I am not a fan of the hustle and grind, but at some point you have to look at the results you're getting and wonder if you could be doing more. And that's the question I had to ask for myself is, could I be doing more? And I ask that question at least once a week. It's like, I feel overloaded, but it's my job to take care of that mental space. Nobody else's, and it's nobody else's fault except for mine that I feel overloaded. And so when I look at what I'm doing and I look at my work and I look at the results I'm getting, I have to ask myself, because I'm the one responsible for that, am I putting in enough work for this? And there's a whole contingent of folks in this kind of manifesty world space that will tell you that, like putting in too much work and doing too much is actually causing you to lose the thing or reject the thing that is coming that you say you want. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I think that it's twofold. I think you need to be able to hold the vision, like we've been talking about this week. You need to be able to hold the vision and also do the work. And you know what's wild is that nobody said it was easy. Man, it's not easy. It's not easy to do both of those things at the same time. And I know that, as people who are on the path of building the life you want and creating the things you want a level of ease, because otherwise, like, why are we doing this, right? I think there's a recalibration that needs to happen for a lot of us, me included, that says there's a time to push. And there's a time to push and there's a time to lay back. But if you find yourself getting into a pattern of laying back, man, you're not ever going to reach the destination. Yeah, I saw someone post today, and I like this as a thought that, how about you take a break instead of saying you just need to keep going and going and going. I like that as a thought, unless it's time to go. I recorded an episode not too long ago about how sometimes you got to take a break. And that's true. That needs to be a part of the rhythm. But the norm needs to be that we're moving towards a thing. And that doesn't mean that we're outside of flow. That doesn't mean that we're not paying attention to our energy levels and just not paying attention to that at all. I definitely am not that person. But right now in my season of push, I am making sure that my draw to lay back isn't outweighing my decision to do the things I said I wanted to do. Because there's a little bit of repatterning and reparenting that has to happen there. Sometimes maybe what was modeled for you was that loop of starting and stopping, right? And you have to acknowledge that could be the case. Maybe it's not that you get up against a wall and you're like, oh man, this is not the right way. Maybe it's not that it's not the right way. Maybe There's just a pattern of starting and stopping. I don't want to overshadow the fact that some folks have been pushing for a long time and they actually need a break. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about a pattern of starting and stopping. So if you find yourself today or in your work this week or whatever, feeling like you got a lot going on, there's a lot on your plate and you're doing a lot, remind yourself of the vision of where you're going, and that your job as a creative and an owner is to be able to hold both of those identities at the same time, the person who holds the vision and the person who does the work. Because this thing that I'm doing right now, these podcasts, I could easily just like stop. I'm not getting like a ton of traction with it yet, but that's not the point. And I knew that going in. And I want you to understand what the metrics are for the things that you're doing so that you can, when you get to this place where you're like, man, I don't know if I should keep doing this thing, go back to the metric. I feel that way about, I'm competing in a jiu-jitsu competition this weekend. And I felt this morning, last night I had a bad round and I almost injured my shoulder. And I got pissed off. And I was like, man, I'm just not going to do this competition because it's not worth it. It's like, this is not my job. You know what I mean? This is a hobby. Like, what the crap am I doing? Like, I just need to do my work. And then I remembered that there's a reason why I'm doing this, and it's bigger than a bad round. And like the podcast thing, this video that I'm doing, I was like, I could look at the metrics and say, wow, I'm getting a few views a day, or like I'm getting like, you know, I'm just starting out on this channel. It's brand new. I don't expect it to be blowing up, but I'm getting some views and some traction. So it's like, I could look at that and say, wow, these metrics aren't growing fast enough, or nobody's listening, or nobody cares about this. And that's what most people do. But that's because they didn't set a metric that they're actually tracking for themselves. So the metric I'm tracking for this is like, did Chris Creed show up and do the thing he said he was going to do? This is a thing that allows me to do that. And so I'm going to keep doing it for that reason, because work has value for the sake of work. And it's not more valuable than your rest. It's not more valuable than your sanity. It's not more valuable than your well-being, but it does have value. When we know what the metrics are that we're actually tracking on the things that we're doing, it becomes a lot easier to do those things when it gets hard. And so, yes, it might be that it's time for a rest. It might be that it's time to lay back, but it might also be that you just need to keep going and remember the metrics. Because from the outside world, it might look like, well, why are you even doing so much? What are you doing? Just slow down. Just slow down. It's like, no, man, I got places to go. I love that Jim Rohn quote. It's like, what are you doing up so early? Man, if you were going where I'm going, if you're meeting who I'm meeting, you'd be up early too. You know what I mean? I love that. It's like, if you knew the vision that I have in my mind, you'd be up early too. You'd be doing this stuff too. And so that is what we want. That's the vibe I want to see creatives bring to this, because that's what true creative resilience is. It's having this inner knowing that no matter what, you can figure this out because you have a vision for where you want to go. And that vision is so powerful that you can't help but to keep going. When I talk about it and I create content around resting and around knowing when you need to rest, that's more about just listening and telling the difference between what's like the siren call of comfort and what's actually needed, you know, and you have to discern that for yourself. So anyway, I wanted to bring that to you guys today. I'm about to do a live clearing session in my group, but I was having two thoughts at once and I needed to get them both out, right? So I'm going to do a different bit on the clearing session that I'm about to do. That's going to be about something different. It is going to be tied to my bad round, but I wanted to share this with you guys as well. So if you're in a season right now where people are telling you to slow down, or you're feeling like you need to slow down because you just got a lot to do, remind yourself of the metrics that you're actually tracking, the ones that matter to you, not the ones that matter to them. And also remind yourself of the vision, and then discern, is it time to take a break, or is it just time to keep going? All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And hey, speaking of that clearing, if you want in my free group, if you're a creative or an owner and you want more flow and focus in your life, that's exactly what this group is for. I do live clearing sessions in there to give you a clean slate every week so you can build upon that and actually go into your work clear and ready to roll. If you want that, you can just go to chriscree.com/flow and get in for free. Love you guys.